Hello. So let me tell you a little bit about me. I've been using an iPad to teach in the classroom since about 2012. During that time, I used the app Notes Plus as a whiteboard when I was working in the class lecturing. In the fall, during the pandemic, in the spring, I switched to Notability because I'd heard a lot about it, very similar to Notes Plus. But now I need a shareable whiteboard that students can collaborate on, as well as something that I can write on to present on. And now Mount Holyoke College is supporting Miro. And so I thought I'd try to make like a 5-minute video explaining how I plan to use Miro to teach over Zoom this fall. So this is like what I learned in 2 hours last night. So my goals for the video are to show you the tools on the Infinite Whiteboard on Miro, show you how to create frames for instructor presentation and student work, and then to show how students can work collaboratively on a frame. I mean, I can't really do that because I don't have students on this call, and also communicate via chat outside of frames. So to get to the Infinite Whiteboard, I'm gonna press Escape on my desktop, and then I'm gonna hit this arrow and zoom out a little bit. And you can see that's the sort of slide that I was displaying in presentation mode just a minute ago. So the whiteboard space is what they call infinite. But if you want to save as to a PDF, like the things that you wrote or presented during class, you need to create frames. And so on this left toolbar over here, this is where you can create frames. And initially I wasn't sure what kind of frame I wanted to create, but since I'm going to be, I'm working on a desktop and I'm going to be sharing the screen via Zoom, I think the right thing to do is to create a browser-sized frame. I think that's the one that will screen share most nicely over Zoom. I wanted to see how people got these nice bars that had things in them, and I couldn't figure that out for a while, but it's the shapes tool over here. So I've selected the shapes with rounded edges. So maybe over here, I'll create something, and this will be maybe where I'll put breakout group number 1 over in that frame to do their work. I have a worksheet that I want them to do, and I can upload it to that frame if I want to. That's the upload button. I'm going to upload from my device the Fun First Day Problem PDF. You can resize this, so I'm just going to drag it into the frame. And what you can see then, if I zoom in, I guess I'm going to resize it so it really fits in the frame, that what the students will see when they go there, then they'll see the worksheet with the problems that I want them to do. And then they have this space where they can, they can do some work. So what kind of work can they do? Well, they can use this pen tool. And so here I'm using the pen tool with a mouse, and they can say okay, so what if I wanna, compute x plus 4 equals 10. It's a little clunky with a mouse. It's a little better with an iPad. So I'm not screen sharing from my iPad, but I have an iPad here, and I'm on the same page in my iPad. And you can see when I did that, because I'm logged in as myself on the iPad, you can see the little yellow thing on the screen is showing where I am. So on the iPad, I'm gonna zoom out, and I can write a little more nicely, with the pen tool. X plus 4 equals 10. And I can continue writing and doing stuff. If the work is more text-based and doesn't involve diagrams and equations, students can also put sticky notes and write stuff in sticky notes like help me please. Or they can, if they want to sort of summarize ideas that the group has had, or if they want to annotate maybe a proof that they've written up, they can do it here. And they can also add boxes of text. So they can, you know, say something like, let's prove the following theorem. And if what they're doing is mainly text-based, that'll work just fine, and they can maybe put the equations in by hand if that's too hard with text. One of the things that I was really worried about is that students would get really isolated in the Zoom breakout rooms. So what I'm planning to do is to give my students things to work on in small groups and put them in Zoom breakout rooms. And then what I'll do is I'll make a frame for each group. So like this frame would be for breakout group 1, the frame for breakout group 2 would be next to it. So every group would find their frame, and then they can go in and edit that. And in the Zoom breakout room, they can talk freely to each other, but they won't be able to hear me, the host of the meeting, and they won't really be able to communicate with me either. In a Zoom breakout room, you can invite the host for help, but you can't send a message. Like you can't say, I'm inviting you because I have a question about like whether you really meant this on the worksheet. You can just invite them, and the host can only be in one breakout room at a time. But Zoom has this handy dandy feature, a chat feature. So the students can go into chat, and here they can chat to me and the whole group. So if students are stuck in a breakout room, they can say something in the Miro chat that we can all respond to. Additionally, one thing I like about Miro is that the students can always zoom out of their frame and sort of look at the other frames as well, and they can see, they'll be able to see which frame I'm on, so like which breakout group I'm talking to. And if they want to, they can zoom over to someone else's frame, peek at their work, maybe in the chat say, hey, we have a question about something you did. So I think that this working via these browser-sized frames in Zoom, with browser-sized frames in Miro, with the Miro chat, while the students are in Zoom breakout rooms, will work pretty well. I can sort of close the chat, or at least hide the chat. And then if I want to go back into presentation mode, that's down here on the left. It doesn't sort of send me right into presentation mode, but it allows me to go there myself. So now I'm presenting that slide, and I could go back to the first slide frame if I wanted to. I can also exit that by clicking exit or escape. And then what I can do at the end is I can export the board, save it as a PDF, and then I'll have that PDF of the frames, so just the frames, that I can post to my Moodle site later on. If I zoom out a little bit, you can see that it's totally possible for us to do stuff outside of frames. So like if a student wrote x plus 4 outside of a frame, that's not going to get saved in the PDF. So I feel like that is basically what I know about Miro, but I feel like it's more or less what I need to know. There are a lot of fancy templates over here, but these templates like weren't really appropriate for what I wanted for a class. I think what I want to do is create a template, something like this, that has sort of a space for announcements and the daily agenda, the learning goals, etc. And then I can sort of save that and have that as my front frame every time. And then in the other frames, I'll have worksheets and spaces for groups to do work and then save their work. Yes, it works best. The writing features work best if you have a tablet. It's a little bit clunky to, it's clunky to use a mouse, I have to say, or a trackpad. I've tried this with a phone, an iPad, and a desktop. I think pretty sure you can only save the frames from a computer, so a desktop or a laptop. I think the other functionalities I seem to have fully on the iPad, so I can definitely do presentation mode and chat mode from an iPad. When I tried it on a phone, I did not have full functionality. And in particular, I could not figure out how to view the chat on a phone. So you're probably going to want to tell students if they want to take advantage of the Miro chat, they'll have to use a tablet or a computer. All right, that's it.